All right, what is good? It is your boy, the DJC, aka the Don Juan Carlos, and I'm here today with my boy, the Gaming Monk, and we're gonna do a interesting video. I haven't uploaded on this channel in a little bit because I have no reason to really play this game ever again, and we're gonna tell you why your favorite video game freaking sucks.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. In the most nice and caring and objective way possible. And I'm not, we're... Oh, God. It's gonna be hard not to let opinions get and fuel into why the game's dying, but...
Yes. We're going to be objectively minded about how this game is not in the best state, and Bungie, you know what's worse? You can start the mission, by the way, whenever you want. You know what's worse is I have been on the side of the developers, like, for the longest time. No matter what happened, I will always be like, well, just believe in developers. They said they're fixing it. I believe them. Like, we got this.
Before now, there used to be such a benefit of the doubt with the devs. Like, I used to read the TWABs and take them, like, you know, for exactly what they said, and really, like, trusted them, and was like, you know what? They're saying they're fixing Shatter Dive. I'll see if they fix Shatter Dive. And they did. I don't think they fixed enough, but they fixed it relatively quick. And then everything else has fallen by the wayside. I feel like this season, the only two major things that have happened has been Warlock nerfs and buffs, and then Hunter nerfs. And that's been about it all season.
Yep. So I kind of want to do this objectively. So I'm just gonna pull up a topic, and then we can talk about, like, what's wrong, because there's a lot.
Yeah.
The first thing that I always go to is just the way that the game is being played as it is right now, because there's no thinking in this game. Not anymore, at least. There's just haha funny sword noises, go bearer, and that's as much thinking as you get, and it's really not fun. Honestly, like, I'm not a Destiny boomer. I honestly prefer D2 over D1 every day of the week.
Same.
But it's just it's getting really bad. Yeah, I
Warlock
also got
jumps. Warlock jumps. Okay.
It's gotten so bad because, right? It's not even about, like, abilities have taken over gunplay. But that is true. It's just all the guns in the game either do 1 billion damage, and everything just falls over. Yes.
Or
there's no in
middle
between.
Ground. I feel like the beginning of this season. Sorry, go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead.
My primary example is freaking Lambda. Even Fallen Guillotine still does, like, an insane amount of damage for a sword, and it really shouldn't. And it got nerfed, and it's still doing so much damage. And we're just gonna be like, yeah, this is fine. It's just the way the game was meant to be played. Ah ha ha.
And I mean, it's not even, like... It's literally just the swords. Like, it is just the swords. And it is only Falling Guillotine and Lamnet that I think are huge problems. Like... And I think it's because they're new frames and edgy new frames and stuff like that. But I mean, Temptation's Hook is a perfect balance of a new archetype of blade, right? That isn't busted out of its goddamn mind. It's like, yeah, wow, that's really cool. You can, like... I got him a meme, by the way. You can sit there and have a ranged attack on your sword and peek out and only use that to charge it. And that's totally fine. But then you look at Mr. Healy Sword, and then you look at Spinny Top, and you're just like, why would I ever use Temptation's Hook?
Yep.
And I love Temptation's Hook.
Same. We've only used Temptation Soak when we try to first clear Prophecy, and after that, we have never touched that weapon again.
Honestly. And the only reason that I thought Temptation's Hook, would still be, and, would kind of rival anything is for match game procs. You know what I mean? Being able to pop out behind a corner on a Grandmaster Nightfall with a sword that stays in an AoE for a while and does just, pure arc damage can kind of be really cool.
8 ticks, by the way, of arc damage, which is freaking cool, but it doesn't matter because it didn't do any damage.
8 ticks, by the way.
And it's you can't just make a game and be like, hey, we made this cool sword that is a callback to the original game, and then just make its other counterpart 30 times better.
Yeah.
Because you just spin around in a circle and everything just falls over.
Yeah. It's just... I feel like the direction, especially with how DPS and in encounters is being handled, is just atrocious.
It's awful. It is awful.
I mean, there's been instances where, last season or whatever, Izzy's and shit was melting bosses too quick. Izzy's was too good, and it wasn't melting bosses as quick as this, and it took them a season, but at least they were yeah, we're gonna fix it. They haven't even said, anything about Laminate, if they're going to nerf it or whatever. You know what I mean?
They said that all swords are getting a 15 damage reduction.
Yeah.
15% damage reduction, but that's
Yeah, but I also think that that's not, a fix. It's not an umbrella fix. It is a very niche fix because it is only 2 swords. People aren't running around with, the...
negative space.
Yeah, exactly. They're not running around with negative space or... Well, they can't use opulent swords anymore. I was about to say Throne Cleaver. But...
Yep. That's another thing, by the way. That's
fucking
problematic.
Now.
Yep. And it's so it's not just the swords though, because it's the sword, Laminate, and freaking Fallen Guillotine that does too much damage. Mind you, right? They haven't nerfed Lucent Blade at all. It hasn't been touched since it came out last season. Which means the 15% damage reduction is just going to get offset by Lucent Blade. Because for whatever reason, it increases sword damage and increases the charge time for your heavy attack too. So.
Oh yeah, because balance is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
But no, it's just I'm just happy that it's not in addition to how busted it is now. It still needs to be tuned down way more. But at least Lucent Blade is bringing it back to where it was without it and not keeping it where it was with it. Oh, a feather.
I'm just... Because you know what the other thing is, right? Off of swords, it's just the exotics that they keep bringing out aren't... they're just not balanced at all.
They really aren't. And I feel like it's due to a big part of the playtesters being on controller, comparatively to
that's
where
another thing.
A lot of their content and networking comes from, which is the PC market.
I'm gonna make a hot take, and you've heard me make this hot take before. I don't think this game should be on console anymore, honestly. Because
I think the game should be balanced differently on console and PC, and I think there should be 2 separate entities. I think crossplay is a terrible idea. I think that's awful for this game. I think that'll ruin a lot of this game, in my opinion. In my humble, honest opinion.
Because you know what's gonna happen? All the amuses that you get from playing console is just gonna make you statistically a better player.
Yeah.
Even though on PC you have more buttons, you have more macros, you can literally do anything you want in this game, but they're
nope. Left bumper, right bumper, super noises.
They're freaking centralizing the game when it's two very distinct.
I really don't think they should be centralizing it on console either, which is another big problem. Is if you're gonna centralize it on PC. Like, there's so much more customization. There's so much more optimization. You can do so much more with PC than you can with console, and I feel like if they just went, hey, we're making this PC exclusive after the next release, like after this batch of content, we're phasing out the consoles. We're moving, like after Witch Queen and all that. I really just fell again because Warlock jumps.
Hey, but hoity-toity, I just bought my PS5 to play Destiny 2, and you're gonna tell me that I can't play it anymore? Hoity-toity.
Well, that's why I said after, like, the Witch Queen and all that, like, because that'll probably be the next generation of console by then. Like, probably for Xbox, not for PlayStation.
I'm just like... There's no reason that on PC we now have to basically play a controller in order to do better, because there's just...
Or to be on the same level anymore.
Yes, because there's just an inherent advantage of just playing on a freaking controller now versus actually aiming and not having aim assist.
And working on controlling your sprays and working on bettering yourself through playing the maps more. But what do we know?
What do we know? We only just played the game. Speaking of maps, there has been no new maps in this game since freaking Shadowkeep. There's been no new maps in Shadowkeep. And
which is super annoying.
As much as I like Jav and Dead Cliffs, I don't want to keep playing Jav and Dead Cliffs when there's so many cool maps from D1 that we can get, but you know.
I found that last guy.
Yeah, you could murder him if you want. But what do I know? I just sit here and play this game all day. And at least I used to, not anymore. You know what else? Right, we're still in the weapons category. Can we talk about how Hawkmoon was totally fine before, and then they just like, you know what?
Well, I don't know if totally fine before is accurate.
Yeah, that was a bit of an exaggeration, but
I think in need of a tune-up before is a better way to describe it in my eyes. And then after the Catalyst came out, it is absolutely fucking busted.
So pre-Catalyst Hawkmoon, you have to hit 7 out of the 8 shots in your magazine to do the beefy boy damage. And with the Catalyst, you can now miss a shot and still do the beefy boy damage. Like, there's no, like, why? First of all, it didn't need a Catalyst. Not every there are exotics that need Catalysts, like Thunderlord.
Thunderlord needs a scope. Let's start there.
Yeah, I think Thunderlord is still bugged, so it doesn't have a scope still.
Which is the funniest thing you will ever see if you haven't seen it yet.
But it's like, that's a gun that makes sense that it has a catalyst, because the amount of orbs you can generate with that gun would be nuts.
Yeah.
But it would there's still like a way to balance it, and it's still not the best gun in the game.
Yeah.
Because
Lamnet exists.
Yep. Like, legit, there's only two archetypes of weapons that you can use for DPS, and it's snipers and freaking swords, because they do too much damage. Snipers did take a hit, and now swords are the best thing you can use.
Oh yeah.
And it just doesn't matter. Because remember in Forsaken when Thunderlord first came out?
Yeah.
And it was being considered one of the better DPS weapons because it could stun bosses.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that. And I was so excited when I got it. And you know what happened? We got grenade launcher meta. And we got sniper meta. And LMGs, their only worth is just clearing out yellow bars and red bar ads. And there's no reason to ever use them. Much like rocket launchers, which are getting buffed, which they didn't need because they keep buffing stuff to put it in line with the stuff that's already like too strong right now, instead of, I don't know, just nerfing the stuff that's strong. and the cycle continues where you do too much damage to everything.
That's the problem is before with Opulence, right? You remember Opulence, like end of Opulence, like end of season of the Opulence, how fucking insane everything was, and you would stack like 9 different buffs before you did any DPS and shit.
Yep.
Like you did so much, and I understood that, where they were coming from and how it was a problem then, because Activision noises, you know, can't really like.
Can we even say it's Activision noises anymore?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is now it is no longer Activision noises. It is all Bungie, and Bungie has continued to let us down like it was Activision times. Like Shadowkeep was such a strong start to content. IMO. For them leaving Activision, Shadowkeep was such a strong start. And then they fell right back into the rhythm of seasons with, like, I don't mind the seasonal system. I don't. However, it needs to be improved. In a game like Destiny, where nothing is the same as any other first-person shooter, like, in all honesty, like, the closest thing is Overwatch. So, like, ability management, like, unique abilities, different weapons, all this, like, there's so much going on all the time. And they fell back into the season, like, the stereotypical 100 ranked season pass thing with one activity. I'm like, you need, with, like, Destiny, you need to have a different, more intriguing, more versatile season pass to adhere to the wide fan base that Destiny brings. Because otherwise, it's just XP grinding. Like, I would so love challenges each week, like strike challenges for the season pass. Like, so imagine, like, get 100k on a Nightfall, and that gives you, like, a big boost in XP for your level. And you can only get, like, challenges, or challenge XP is, like, a huge way to do it. Or, you know what I mean? So there's still, like, your player level, and then there's their season rank, I guess. But it's just, I hate how at the beginning of the season everybody grinds up and does repeatable bounties out the ass, and then 2 weeks in everybody's like, there's no content. And I was like, well, I don't, like, disagree, but I don't agree. Like, I used to fucking sit there for 2 days and do nothing but repeatables to get to rank 100, but now I'm like, that's really the only content you get every season, like, is the new stuff in the season pass, which is extremely sad. Like, I think Sundial was the last really good seasonal activity. Yeah. I think after that, everything else fell downhill, and we haven't gotten the magic back yet.
Like,
because the Bungie team can really do some great things with, like, seasonal events. Sundial was Pog. Menagerie was Pog, and I get Menagerie wasn't seasonal, but it is the model for the new seasonal activities that are coming out. Comes out during a season and then stays the entire year, pretty much. And Menagerie was great. Yes, it was really great, and they've been trying to imitate Menagerie ever since. And I'm like, can we please just move into a different way of getting loot? Other than, like, I want something more interesting than, you only customize into this one tree because it's the best. Like, I want more customization in the loot tables, and I think that comes from Too Little Loot, which brings in sunsetting, which is a whole nother issue.
But the gaming monk, Bungie said that in the next season, there's going to be more XP from just doing challenges every week. Ahaha, funny gamer noises. You can't say that. I didn't even like the Menagerie. Shut up, stupid. Shut up.
Need a dictionary, stupid. I'm just like, I don't get, like, it's so many problems are stemming from just lack of content. And it's just so absurd because there used to be so much, and yes, it was all busted, and none of it was interesting at all. In my opinion, because I had done it all 1,000 times, there was still a lot to do.
It's just the option of being able to do it. Like, as much as I don't like bars, just having the option to just like hop on Mars and just like grind out something, I guess,
Well,
on
every
Mars for
time a
like
catalyst would come out, we'd go and do fucking EP and
yeah,
grind the catalyst up on EP.
yeah.
And that was a nice, like, time. It was a nice vibe. We would just sit there and chill for, like, an hour while we're like, I wonder what this busted-ass exotic catalyst is gonna do. But now it's just, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna make a battle royale soon.
Bruh, I don't know. It's there's just so much that, like you said, you made a perfectly valid point. Like Shadowkeep was so strong. I love Shadowkeep. I love the story. I love the lore for it. It's just, it's I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's as perfect as a start as you're gonna get. And I'm always, and that entire year, the one thing I always said was like, it's just a start. Once we get out of this, there's gonna be like crazy content. We're gonna be vibing, and the game's gonna be great. And Beyond Light for the first 2 months was cool, and it has not been great.
I don't even know about first 2 months. Like,
Okay.
honestly, Beyond Light to me puttered out
The first
super
2
quick.
weeks.
And it was because, like, fucking Stasis wasn't all it cracked up to be. It was just Stasis was more of a nuisance than it was an actual cool thing. Like, I didn't want to, like, load up into a Crucible game and have to worry about the 9 different shurikens that are rushing at my face now because why run any other hunter subclass, Lamau?
Yep. With brackets, you can't forget that one. Because not
brackets.
only does it let you teleport, not only it also increases your arc damage. For some reason.
For some
After
reason.
you get out of the teleportation. So you can just one-tap body shot somebody with the first in, last out.
Yep.
Because, you know, balance is the pinnacle of priority in this game. It's like, it's not just that there's no content, right? It's no content on top of nothing in this game feels balanced at all. Like, I feel strong, but it's not the good kind of strong. I feel like I do too much damage all the time.
It's like you
nothing
ran
ever-
through the first level of Doom after you beat the entire game. Yeah. Like, you have all your weapons, like, super kitted up. You've got, like, a fucking rocket launcher that's got, like, 9 different heat-seeking missiles and all this shit, and then you unlock, like, the AR in the mission, and you're like, oh. Like, it's that kind of strong. It's not fun. It's just... It makes it feel like low-level stuff is more of a chore that you have to get through.
Yep. Because, you know what's worse? At least in Doom, you're collecting stuff. Like, you go through those levels after you beat the game again, and you're just collecting, like, objectives and stuff that you missed. There's none of that in this game.
Well, I mean,
just
there
like-
was, and then half the planets got deleted, so...
Yep.
We had to, you know, stop all that shit. Oh, wow, 2 more Hawk Moons again. Opening shot and snapshot sights. Look at that. Opening shot on a Hawk Moon, huh? Can we run that again and just keep getting Hawk Moons?
Yes, we can. By the way, I got a Killing with Surplus Hawk Moon. By the way.
So stupid. By the way, I got a
Like-
chest for my Pinnacle drop. By the way, let's talk about that. Fucking how stupid the Pinnacle grind is, in my opinion. Like, you want to make some concrete changes that makes the game more fun overall. Let us customize or give us a weekly rotation on what, like, Pinnacle rewards are going to be. So imagine you load up Vanguard strikes on Tuesday, right? And you look at the Nightfall. Your Pinnacle reward for the Nightfall is going to be legs or a bond. Or legs or a class item as your Pinnacle. Then you look at complete 3 strikes as the same element. It could be a kinetic or a special. You know what I mean? It's like... And then each one, so you could have your full loadout each week, guaranteed to go up at least 1 Pinnacle point. It's just so annoying because I've gotten 6 or 7, like, robes or vests in a row, and I'm like, I really wish that I could turn one of those into a kinetic, because then I would be at Pinnacle, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything else.
Yes, I'll never forget the time that I was stuck on 1059 for 2 weeks because I couldn't get a heavy.
That's where I am. It's been like 3. The last time we did Deepstone is when I was still at 1259. That last run of
Mhm.
Deepstone. So from then until now, I have. Well, I mean, we haven't been playing, but
Either way, the point still stands.
yeah. I was like,
It
it's just I don't understand how time after time after time you can get pinnacle drops and it not be the one thing that you need it to be, when the game should recognize that you need to push for that one last point. You know what I mean? If the game can calculate your light level based off of what you have in your inventory and what's equipable, it can figure out that that I need a primary.
Oh, I thought there was a knockout counter, like it'll choose these certain things before that you need before it gives you a duplicate, but that's not true for Pinnacle. That's only applies to legendary lost sectors,
Yep.
which by the way are easy as shit to do because haha laminate noises.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
everything's insane. Like, everything's insane. Doesn't even have to be laminate. Like, I've fucking destroyed shit with, like, a random ass pulse rifle.
Remember, like, let's Leviathan's Breath has gotten catalyst this season, and it has not, from what I've seen, from the content creators that I follow, they have said not a word about that insane catalyst giving Leviathan's Breath 5 extra shots, and then you get 17 with double reserves. Also, by the way, I think scavs and shit have made the game not fun as well. Because they're this is gonna sound like me comparing this game to D2, but just like hear me out on my train of thought here. Back in D1, when like famine was a thing, like the only way to offset famine was to use your other guns in your kit to get the ammo for the gun that you wanted to use. Like if you ran out of kinetic ammo, you'd have to use like your special or your heavy, and vice versa to get the ammo that you need. Famine just can't exist in this game in this state because they get scavs exist or like reserves and shit like that exist.
Oh,
Like,
don't forget about enhanced scavs.
yes, enhanced scavs. Like
Which is
why
even stupider.
why does the perk for the art perk for pulse rifles that gives you charge with light, why does that have a chance to spawn special ammo? Like, is there a reason?
Yeah, I
that it's
never
like
understood. Because, like, why? Like, it's only for your fire team. So, like, if you're gonna have perks like that, I don't mind having perks like that at all. But you can't have both scavs and that. You can't. You really cannot have, like, charge with light mods that, hey, you did your job of killing Thrall with a pulse rifle. Here's 20 ammo for your friend's snipers. Have fun. Like, you can't have both because it breaks the fucking game. And I mean, I don't even know why it drops special, but the fact that it does just it says Lamau famine, and
it's just silly. It's honestly like again, this is gonna sound like some boomer ass shit again. Bet D2 launch, right? D2 launch was probably not the best state, but at least there was choices that you could make. Like in 2017, you still had to use your two brain cells, rub them together, and figure out what you were gonna do to kill Callus. It might have been like 6 people spamming Cold Heart, but at least that option was there. But now it's just like, ah, Lamau, eat shit. Here's a sword, and is so we asked a fellow clan member that doesn't play this game her thoughts. Like we explained to her like what Lament does, and asked her if doing half of the boss's health, Atrax won by the way, with a sword in 1 damage phase is okay. And you know what she said? It's not. it's just not. There's just so much shit in this game that's just not okay. Like, stays all right. Another topic. If we go to like how abilities are balanced, right? When stasis dropped, you know what's the first subclass that got nerfed like 1 week into the game? Warlock stasis,
Mm-hmm.
which probably isn't the strongest. It wasn't the strongest at launch. It was a bit. I wouldn't even say it's a bit overtuned. The only thing I would change about Stasis Warlock is even though that the projectiles from the actual ult itself has tracking, and it's not a whole lot of tracking. If they just remove the tracking from that, it'd be fine.
Honestly.
That's the only thing they need to take off of it. Is the tracking.
Yeah, pretty
Because
much.
the pulse itself doesn't do damage. It does like 1 damage, and most of your damage comes from shattering things. With the super tracking things.
Shurikens.
But that's the one that got nerfed. And the melee ability, that's you have to lead and you have to aim. And that is the thing that got nerfed. And we're just gonna be like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, the thing
Even
that
though
uses probably the most skill with the highest payoff, the most risk, and the most rewarding is the one that is apparently too OP. Don't you just think your players are, good at the game? And I'm so sorry that, you got frozen, but maybe you shouldn't have challenged a Warlock. That was, mid-super, but whatever. Go ahead.
Pop off, I guess, or even because the range for it. Don't get me wrong. The range for it was a bit nuts. It was a bit too far.
Yeah.
But even now, it's like, yeah, if you shoot that ability across the map and you're getting frozen by it, you deserve to get frozen for not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because I said this week 1. Stasis itself wasn't strong. It just breeds stupidity because what happens? You freeze them and then you start chasing them. Yep. And if you have 2 competent teammates, they'll punish you for trying to chase a kill.
Yeah.
But no.
Stasis gives you tunnel vision. Stasis gives you tunnel vision.
It does. And we're just gonna be like, yeah, this is fine, I guess.
Come on.
But the only stasis that's absolutely broken is freaking Hunter stasis. It's just like, it's not fun to play against. And yeah, they nerf Shatter Dive, but there's like the other shit that comes with it. It's like the Shatter Dive, the slow, the freaking Mask of Brachus. All of it together is just too much.
It's like you got a Rodeo King meal from Burger King, right? And instead of getting, Rodeo King is 2 patties, bacon, cheese. It is a fat meal. And you get large fries, and they're like, alright, and what would you like to drink? Them nerfing Shatter Dive is like you going, I want a Diet Coke instead of a regular Coke when you're eating the rest of the disgusting food. You can't fix 1/3 of the problem and think that it's gonna fix the other 2/3.
Because, right? It's like the mobility, because you have base mobility Hunter. The Hunter mobility is still there, so you can still jump super high into the air and come down even faster than you would before because Shatter Dive exists, and you have 25% mitigation, by the way. It used to be 50, but they nerfed it. Why it had 25% or 50% in the first place? Beyond me, but it existed. So you have that on top of the fact that you have shurikens that heat seek and bounce off objects. It can bounce off players after hit a player. It can bounce back to that player and freeze them and kill them. And freaking, you want to talk about tunnel vision? On Stasis Hunter, there's no need for tunnel vision because once you freeze them, you just throw your second shuriken because they're frozen off the bounce from the first one. At a certain point, for me at least, it's not so much about, well, I was in a bad position. I shouldn't have been there. That's why I got stasis frozen. No, it just turns to, well, my teammate was a bit far up because they're pushing, and then he got frozen, and then I got frozen because of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
He might not have made a wrong play. He might have made the right play, but gets punished because, stasis exists. And I'll admit this. Ice Flare bolts on Warlock is kind of stupid. Like
Yeah.
it's really strong, but it's still not as bad as. Even though they nerfed it, it's still not as bad as getting ran at by a fucking hunter at max mobility, jumping 30,000 feet into the air, and just be like, Lamau, just die.
It's just, even in trials, like, I don't understand how people are saying that this isn't like a problem in trials, or this isn't like a big enough concern. It's just like, no, because I mean, there's people that I follow on Twitter that are more PvP oriented, and I haven't agreed with them in a long time about their opinions on PvP, but I still follow them on Twitter because I want to see like how they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I want to see if they're like, wow, all these changes that I got to stasis are really not exactly what I wanted, and now I'm eating my words. You know what I mean? But it's just, I don't know. So many people now are favoring abilities that are set and forget. Like, you just chuck out your shuriken in a general direction of a person, and then all of a sudden, 2 people are frozen.
Yeah.
Like, fuck using abilities that you actually have to time, skill, and get better with, like, shuriken. And I mean, it's even like it even stems onto Titans, too. Like, Titans have auto-aim with their fucking shoulder charge.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, it's like, what's the point? Like, even, like, aiming.
Like, they, again,
to a degree.
brain off, abilities OP, they just track. Because you know what doesn't track? The Warlock top tree melee. It doesn't. It has, even if it does, it's light tracking on it, so it won't chase you off.
Tracking.
Yep. Which is fine. Like, I don't mind stuff having tracking on it, but it's like, yo, cool out. Not everything can have tracking.
Yeah.
Stop giving everything tracking.
And, well, I think, like I keep saying, so many of this stems off of one problem, and I think it's because they're trying to chuck Destiny in the middle between console and PC and try to make one homogenous game that is going to make everyone happy. And that's not going to happen. Like,
that's not the case.
There's going to be no game state that both console players and PC players are happy in. It's just not going to work because unless you allow keyboard and mouse on console,
which you can do, there's a way to do it.
There is. Because fucking Minecraft on the Xbox is just like Minecraft Windows 10 version. Like, you know what I mean? You can plug up like controller, all that shit, and just, or you can play it with a fucking mouse and keyboard. It's great. But I don't know. It's just they're trying to make the game a middle ground, and it's never gonna be this middle ground.
It's not. Can we talk about how certain games, like, I don't know, League of Legends has never been on a console, and is arguably the top rated game in all of the gaming industry. Like, it's not like an opinion, it is a fact. That is the most profitable game in existence.
Oh yeah.
It has been alive for 11 years.
It's ridiculous.
And we just watched the World Tournament, by the way, and it's even during the pandemic, it was amazing still. The quality production, casting production, and all of it was still top end stuff. And it's been 11 years, and this game has been out for 7.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna be like, yup, this is fine, I guess. And it's just, at a certain point, like, years 1 through Destiny itself, including D1 and D2, years 1 through 6 were fine. They were okay for what you got.
Yeah.
And then year 7 is just like all of the stuff that was wrong with 1 through 6 all culminate into this year, and it's just not fun.
It's just every possible balance change and
There
weapon
is,
tune
like,
up and ability tune up that they've needed to do for the past like 2 years is all resurfacing right now, and it's all coming out right now, in my opinion. Like every weapon that like shown like before that was like a little strong before, now we are like just at the point now where those are the only weapons, so they are incredibly good. Like, and that's just it. Like, there's nothing else. Like, there's so, like, I think it comes from Sunset. Like
it comes from Sunset. It comes like there's no way that they have a balance team at that studio. There's just no way. It's not possible. Because any other balance team in any other game would have been like, hey, this is just an example. Hey, hand cannons have dominated the game since beta or after auto rifles got nerfed. Maybe we should do something about them.
But no, we can't change hand cannons because we're the only game that does hand cannons like this, and it keeps a lot of our audience here. I swear, dude. League, like, the game developers from League need to do, like, a Gaming Nightmares show. Just go to different game companies that have, like, struggling games and are just balancing messes.
Like, the worst part is this game isn't struggling. It's just, like, they just don't care. They say that they care, but they don't. Like, I hate to bring this to, like, DMG and stuff like that, because he's a genuine guy. Like, he seems pretty cool. Like, from my interactions that I've seen him in, like, he seems like an alright dude. But it's like, at a certain point, you just gotta, like, be like, is this fine? Is this okay?
Like, is this the way you want things run? Like, in all honesty, is this the way you want things?
Yeah, the kitchen, the freaking restaurant is doing well, but have you seen what's in the kitchen? It's a freaking mess.
Yeah, like, I'm about to show you, like, my favorite episode of Kitchen Nightmares is on right now. It is, well, not on right now, but it is the next in my queue. And it is Amy's baking company. And Amy is this chick from, like, they're in California, and she just thinks her food's the greatest, and it's like the cleanest kitchen ever that Gordon's ever seen. But they are the rudest people, and they don't understand why their business is failing while they're sitting there cussing out customers. Like, it's like that. It's like, yes, some aspects of the game are doing really well. Yes, their kitchen's clean. But right now, it is in utter disarray.
So we've had this conversation before where we're like, well, if they make an Operation Health like they did in Siege.
Yep.
And like, what was that? 2017 or 2018?
Yeah.
It was one of. It was one of those.
It was like the year after Siege came out. So like, it wasn't season 1 or year 1. It was year 2.
I think I remember. It was the year right before Red Crow. That was the Operation Health.
Yeah, it was the Operation before. Yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm just like, I think they need Operation Health to come in here and fix everything.
But it's not just health, because they're just not listening at all. That's the other thing. They say they care, but we keep saying the same thing over and over again, and they're just like, ah, funny gamer meme. We're gonna give you lament. That'll fix things, right?
Oh, y'all were complaining about Atrax 1 being too hard of a boss. Well, now he's not a boss. Have fun.
And it's just like, all right, I get. Like, this is another hot take. I don't think Felwitch should be a freaking legendary. It definitely should not. The value that you get for having a shotgun that doesn't have any random rolls, so it's guaranteed to have accurized round, full choke, slide shot, opening shot, and vorpal weapon, that's just like not insane to anyone else.
No, it's completely busted.
And I love my Felwinter's Lie, but it should not be allowed to be a legendary. Because you know what? I can just run around in PvP and just have Black Talon, an exotic that has fell to the wayside because, you know, other stuff exists.
Yep.
Which is
pick up heavy, and then it just kind of everything kind of falls over.
Yep. Which again is another strong aspect, but stuff like that can't get like balanced because what is it? What is? Oh, it's freaking Felwinter's Lie and some other shenanigan. Hawk Moon. There we go. That's the one that I'm thinking of. Hawk Moon and just hand cannons in general, exotic or no, just run the meta so they can't nerf anything because they're like, ha, hand cannons are not strong enough, so we're just gonna keep buffing them because they keep doing it. They keep, like, it doesn't matter what season it is, they keep buffing hand cannons.
And they're like, oh, we promise we're gonna nerf them at some point, and we're like, that's what you said.
No, they don't even say that they're nerfing them. They're just like, hey man, we're just gonna buff other stuff, and then we're like, well, this is oppressive, just like hand cannons. And
they're like, oh shit, yeah, right. We gotta buff hand cannons like we buffed everything else.
Yep. Because remember season of the Almighty when it was auto rifle meta? Auto rifle meta ran 90% of the community outside of top end trials and top end like survival playlists. They still only ran hand cannons.
Yeah.
Because they just straight up outranged them. And you know what they would do? I do. You know what they would do? They'd run around and have a hand cannon in the primary and then just have Gnawing Hunger in the secondary because you can run both of them.
Yep, pretty much. That was so lucky, by the way. I got the 3-second like countdown timer thing on my phone,
on your
screen.
end,
and I was like,
wow.
oh no.
I'm just like,
I don't know, and I feel like the designs of these last couple seasons have been really ass.
Yes.
Like of new locations and shit. I feel like Europa's so ass. Like I really don't like Europa as an LZ. It's like I'm like, oh wow, it's gonna be so cool having those dynamic like weather changes. It's annoying as shit. You're sitting there running, right? And then all of a sudden, your Sparrow slows down to a 140 again, and you're like, I thought they removed 140s. And then all of a sudden, there's a snowstorm.
Yep. Like, I don't mind that as much, but I can see how that gets annoying. It's just...
It's more like you're just... It just interrupts your, like, grind. Like, you're trying to sit here and get stuff done, like... run up to seek Tidris or whatever, and all of a sudden you've got to go all the way across the map, which is another problem. And then I don't know, we're getting off topic. We started talking about guns and Hawk Moon, and then how it all just spirals into one culminative issue.
Yes, that like, because it's so if you're balancing a game. And I've taken classes for game design and done stuff like that. In my humble opinion, I believe the best way to balance like a game is to have like everything be most stuff to be even level. Like you can have some stuff that's above the line, for example. But other than that, like not everything should be over the focal point of balance. Like
and
we talk about
Xeno is that perfect.
Xeno and Izanagi's, both of them.
Perfect.
Those are the two. I would even say Divinity. Those three guns are probably the most balanced exotics that you will get in this game.
Yep.
Izanagi's sniper rifle that you can consume your ammo and then get an extra powerful shot, but the cost of getting the powerful shot is having your ammo being chewed through because it takes 4 shots to get the power shot.
Yeah.
Xeno, which cannot crit, it does a lot of damage, but Xeno can't crit unless it's giving like a crit buff And then Divinity, which doesn't really, Divinity by itself doesn't do any damage, but it allows other players to have their damage
No,
boosted.
Divinity does a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Divinity does do a lot of damage, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more the tithe that I'm interested in when I slap on Divinity.
Mm-hmm.
That 25% damage increase to everybody in your fire team, so...
Yes.
know, if people
But
give
it's
you
still,
shit about
it
not
still
doing
requires,
DPS, you can
yeah.
enact the tithe.
Yes, but it still requires you to have teammates to work around so that you can get the most function out of Divinity.
Yeah. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
on its own, like, Divinity, I found is incredibly underrated. Like, as a solo player weapon, because, like, people, like, only really thought of Divinity, like, in one instance, and it was like, huge DPS. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, Divinity, like, proc on any target, the orb is 9 out of 10 times bigger than the enemy you're shooting at. And it usually engulfs most of the target's crit spot if it is bigger than Divinity, or if it is bigger than the crit orb it creates. But, like, I'll chuck down a grenade, and then I'll chuck Divinity on and just chew through yellow bars. Because your grenade's now doing, like, crit damage, and it's breaking the Divinity bubble, which does, like, 13
Which also does damage.
So, I mean, it's just... And then Divinity stays on a little bit after you're done, like, shooting it. So, what I found is you chuck on a quick draw kinetic or quick draw heavy, apply it, and then... Oh, I'm dead. Apply it, and then switch very quickly, hit them, and you can still get the Divinity crit. Because Divinity is both, like, it decays and it grows. Like, you have to have Divinity on a target for a certain amount of time for the orb to show up, and it has to be off Divinity for a certain amount of time for the orb to disappear. Which I really love, and I'm like, you can just juggle so much with Divinity once you actually, like, know how to use it.
See, I didn't know that. However, that's still, like, that's still more balanced than just...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the pinnacle peak of balance. Like, because I've sat there and used Divinity so much in raids and stuff, which I have nothing against, because the tithe, it's just, you learn so much about it, and it's not that I'm against, exotics being busted. It's just, I want to have to learn how to fucking use my exotics as powerful as they can be.
You want to talk about busted? Another thing that's like not balanced. It's not per se a gun, but it's like, do you remember when I made the stasis super build and we were able to get supers in like 2 minutes or less?
And then Dawn Chorus came out.
Yes, but the reason why I bring that up is because there's like I made that build week 2 of Beyond Light, and I have not touched that build since because it's not fun.
Yeah.
There is no world in which, hey, getting your super in less than 2 minutes and then absolutely just dunking on anything that exists is fun. And we're just gonna sit here and act like it's totally fine, by the way.
Yeah.
When it's just not. Like, Monty is a bit overtuned. I'll make that statement. It's strong. It's a bit overtuned. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like fucking Hawkmoon where it's DPSing bosses like no one's business.
Yeah.
It's just, it gets your abilities back really fast, and it's
your melee back really fast.
Yes, yeah, it gets your melee, and then depending on what subclass you're on, your other abilities, because your melee regens other abilities.
95% of the time, which is stupid.
Yes. And it's just, again, I'll ask the question, how can you live in a game state like that? Where it's like just constant abilities all the time. Honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with them, like they're in your toolkit, you should use them.
But it shouldn't be, like, Valorant is the perfect example of, like, powerful abilities, yet scaled properly. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, complete the Harbinger activity 3, 5, 10 times. Okay. Shit.
Yeah, so that's the third time. You should have the warden title, by the way.
Come
if you
on,
finish.
give me the gun. It didn't give me the
Does
gun.
it not give it? I guess it's only once per week. I thought you
That's
could just
annoying. Oh, yet again, a reason this game's stupid. But
I'm just like,
it's just, I feel like if they didn't try to rush and stay with the seasonal meta and put in a better seasonal objective and a better overall seasonal model, it would be way better. And then that led to sunsetting because there's too many activities going on, because they're adding a new activity every season due to the season model or season pass model, that they have to keep adding weapons, and then all those weapons start interacting in very unintended ways 3 or 4 seasons down the line. So sunsetting in itself is a great idea, but then you have to counteract that with more weapons, period. You like, sunsetting was so poorly executed, and I was so excited for it. I was so excited.
Same.
I was like, fuck yeah, no mountaintop, no recluse. Let's have some diversity with our loadouts.
Which, by the way, recluse is still strong in non-high level activities. Like just regular PvP, sometimes I'll just run around and just use a pulse rifle and recluse if I don't feel like using Felwinter's. Honestly. Because I'm tired of using Felwinter's. And you can still get away with it because it's still insane because it's a submachine gun. Which, by the way, Bungie is like, well, submachine guns aren't good, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna buff them for some reason because people don't know. People on console don't know how to recoil control. Like hold on, I'm gonna pull this up. I'm like, before we keep, I'm gonna pull up exactly what they said about submachine guns. Okay. Submachine guns are largely outclassed by auto rifles at medium range and by some sidearms.
Should be. That is literally the definition of where sidearms or where submachine guns should be balanced. That is literal by definition. Submachine guns outgun.
It is a close range weapon. It is a close range weapon that you swap to if you don't have something for close range. So if you don't have a shotgun, you would use a submachine gun. Largely outclassed by auto rifles at medium range and sidearms at short range, with player feedback often mentioning how hard they are to control. That's just console saying that. If you have a keyboard and mouse, that's not true at all. To address feedback, we're introducing the following change. Reduce camera movement of firing a submachine gun by 24%. Like, what that solves nothing. First of all, submachine guns were fine. 7 Seraph VY7 and Achilleos SMG and Recluse and Huckleberry, by the way, which is still extremely strong.
Oh, and Risk Runner. Don't forget about Risk Runner.
And Risk Runner. All submachine guns that are totally fine, by the way, don't need any of those buffs. It really doesn't. But they're just like, well, we play the game on console and our developers say machine guns are hard to control. Just play it on a computer, like a human being, not an actual troglodyte. You know what?
And this is why there has been no content.
And I'm just like,
every time we start talking, we just get furious because this game is so great.
It has so much potential. Like, yes, I love lore books. I love that that's a part of the game. But you know what else would be great? Like visuals, like stuff in game, like in-game content that we can like experience. Like that's fine.
Like look at WoW, right? I know it's a big different comparison. WoW literally has different instances of the world from which time period you loaded in. So, for example, Sharp showed me this giant fucking sword literally in the earth from when a god had impaled the earth. like a couple years ago in the WoW story, and it's still there. You could still go see it. You could still chill. Like, that's so cool. Like, you get to see a part of the lore, and you can just literally walk up to it and say, "What's up, dude?" Like, you have nothing like that here. You can't go see a big giant piece of the Almighty from when it crashed. You can't see, like...
You can see the basin from Opulence, but, like, you know, that's such a small part, but there's so many things that have happened in the story of this game that it's like, that's not enough sometimes, dude.
Like, literally, some of our planets disappeared, and there's no repercussions. Like, there's no talk of, like, what's going on outside the solar system, or, like, outside the planets that we have in our solar system. Like, you serious? Like, fucking Mars, Mercury, all these planets just suddenly disappear, and you don't think that's gonna throw some cosmic shit out of alignment? Like, like, just give us something other than fucking...
Then Vex. Something other than just Vex, please.
Like,
I get it.
Or it's just Vex or text, like, fucking
Taken?
text screens. No, like, for lore. I want to see, like... I want to see the history. Like, I don't want to just... Don't want to read about it.
I don't mind reading it, but it's like, dude, there's too much to read. Like, there's no way... Like, if they had a AAA publisher, and they have outsourced raids before, which they really shouldn't have, because sometimes when you outsource raids, you get stuff like Spire of Stars, funny. But if you want to outsource something, why don't you outsource freaking, like, visual content to keep the game alive? Or, like, outsource... Or if you want to outsource raids, don't make them freaking raid layers. Like, actually build a team. Tell them, like, hey, this is what we normally do, and just try and think of something creative. Like, don't get me wrong. What's that raid? Not Deep Stone Crypt, but the Fallen raid that got put in the content vault. Scourge was fun. It was. The only problem with Scourge is that it's a bit short. But if you can have a raid that had that much fun by an outsourced team, and instead of doing the season model and actually, like, do a proper raid every, I don't know, 6 months or something like that, instead of just one new raid that we've had for like an entire year.
Oh, don't get me started on Vault of Glass coming back.
That's not... I love it. Don't get me wrong, Vault of Glass is great, but that's not new content that
content that I want to see in Destiny 2, being 100% honest.
Yes.
Being 100% honest. Like, that shit is just the most blatant.
That is the most lazy piece of the lazy content that they can do. Because that's the other problem with D2, is the reason there's no content is because it's just content from Destiny 1 that we've already had.
Yeah.
It's not everything, but it's just content from D1 that we've already had. Like, next season. What's coming back next season? Fallen Saber and House of Devils. Don't get me wrong, all those strikes,
great strikes, but I'd much rather have, you know, new lore on what's going on in our story. But Cube DJ.
Yeah, as you know, would so love to just, you know, get new strikes and, like you said, new lore, what's happening, because they said that they're working on forwarding the story, but we keep getting old content. Love the Cosmodrome. Cosmodrome is great. I'm glad they brought it back, but it's still just old content that we've already had. Smile, but this is the game that we play. Am I right?
Guess what I got as my pinnacle.
Is it another chess piece?
It's another heavy.
Man.
Yay. Can't wait to... You know what? You know what I'm going to start doing? Every week they don't nerf Laminate. I'm going to pull one from collections and upgrade it to 1260. So eventually in my vault, I'll, like, 20 laminates.
Oh, you can't forget resource balancing. Remember when they said that ascendant shards are supposed to be the most difficult thing and be worth getting a bunch of? There's a guy that has an entire vault filled to the brim with just masterwork exotic pieces of armor.
Do we even want to see what the Grandmaster is? This? Oh god, it's the Tangled Shore?
Well, all the Grandmasters are available now, so it's just like, bro.
Oh, I see. So you just need to do these 5?
No, you got to do all 6 of them. Or is it 5? I thought it was 6.
Glassway, Spire, Exodus Crash, and Disgraced.
Yeah. It's, bro, at a certain point, they're just gonna have to stop making content.
That's
like, stop
why I'm like, fucking...
new stuff. Just
stop with the new stuff. Operation Health. And then you can get back to making new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Take a season and say, hey, we aren't going to put out any new content, but we're going to be working extremely hard on bettering the content that's already there.
Mm-hmm. They have the tools available because they can identify a problem and then get a patch out by the next Tuesday and then have it fixed.
Exactly.
With the new system.
I don't know about that.
No, because remember
the engine.
They changed it though.
When did it? What did they change it to?
I don't remember. Like, it's still the same base engine, but the way that the updates and stuff come out, it can come out a lot faster. Because remember, the first week there was a bunch of stuff that was bugged, and then that next Tuesday it got patched.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the engine that they work on. I don't know if it changed, but the last time I heard about the engine, it would take like 2 months to do a map fix. Because the entire map is loaded as the same asset. It's not different assets. Like, the entire tower is a map, is one file. And everything in that makes up the file. So it's like, let's say... Like, you remember when the guy was standing in the brazier, like, during Dawning? That would have taken the entire Dawning thing to fix for him to be able to not get stuck in there anymore. Like, that was the understanding I had for, like...
that was pre Beyond Light stuff. Yeah. Because the game itself is smaller, the updates can come out faster. But it's like, I wouldn't even say a season. If they took 6 months to just like rebuild the game from the ground up and actually care about community feedback, because you know what we got instead of community feedback? We got gilded titles.
RGB titles.
Like,
I mean, like, look, this is all you see from the Almighty Crash. Like, right here. This chunk of the tower that's gone. And I'm just like,
that's
really?
Not noticeable, by the way. It's not really that noticeable.
Like, alright, cool, there's this chunk of the tower missing, but if I'm a new player, I'm not gonna know what that means. That just looks like it needs maintenance. However, a sword sticking into the earth is very different, and you respect it immediately, even if you're a new player. Because I did. I didn't know the history about anything. And that's how you do, like, in-game lore. Like, you make it awe-inspiring. That's your one area where you can show how, like, grandiose and how imaginative you want your game to be, and they haven't done it anywhere here.
Bro, look at the Traveler. It was broken at the end of last season, and it just looks like a golf ball. There's no lights, there's no life coming from it. It's just a giant circle in the air.
Yeah, before, like, there was floating parts all around it, and, like, light coming out of it, and now it's just there. Now it's just Epcot again.
And we're just like, hey, dude, that's totally fine, by the way. Ah, ha, ha, hee, hee.
You know, what if, like, lore-wise, what if that meant the Traveler was shutting us off because we chose the darkness? Like, that could be really cool, but, like, now it's just, like, weird. Like, the entirety of the game, we looked at the Traveler just broken and shattered and really cool because it's still resilient, and so are we, and all that shit, and then it's just like, haha, this is D1 now. Like, I don't know.
Like, I wouldn't even mind going back to D1. There's just so many things that need to get fixed, like weapons, the guns, like how much damage stuff doesn't need to get more damage. There's stuff that needs to get damage reduced. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
But you can't just have an overall baseline of how much damage everything is supposed to do and then just keep buffing the other stuff that's underperforming instead of nerfing the stuff that's above the point of balance. Like, you can't just say, hey, swords in quotation marks, because it's just two swords in quotation marks, are doing too much damage. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna nerf swords a little bit and then buff the shit out of rocket launchers, because we're gonna give rocket launchers 30% more damage
For no reason.
for no reason at all. I can understand if they gave it 15% or even like 20% pushing it, but 30%. And you know what's gonna happen? Everybody's just gonna swap to rocket launchers again to do DPS, and then they're just gonna one phase.
Eyes of Tomorrow. I called it when they said the rocket launcher buff was gonna happen. Eyes of Tomorrow is gonna be the DPS weapon that you're going to have, and it's gonna be like Cold Heart at the beginning of the game. If you don't have it, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to do anything without it. IMO. IMO.
Because how much you want to bet? Next season, every activity, every boss is just gonna have 1 billion health, and you can't sword them because they're gonna be slightly off the ground or on a pedestal that just straight up kills you.
Pretty much.
But hey, man, who am I? Who are us two nobodies to say that the game just doesn't work?
You know what's gonna be insane, DJ? Adaptive Ordnance and Argent Ordnance stacking on top of each other, in addition to the freeze boost from the stasis.
In addition to if they bring back Oppressive Darkness, because that's a debuff. In addition to that. In addition to
SWAT, and in addition to Bubble. We are starting down the very slippery slope of what ended with Season of Opulence.
Yes.
Of just absolute fucking insanity. And it's weapons this time. It's not like abilities. Because Opulence, it was like all abilities and armor exotics that you needed. Like, you needed Lunas. If you didn't have Lunas, you were done. Like, done. D-O-N-E. But now it's like, you need Laminate for Atrax. Then you need Cloud Strike and Divinity. Like, you need so many different exotic weapons to make DPS work, but it's the only exotic weapons that can make DPS work.
Or, like, another example of something that got buffed a bit too much is the freaking slug shotguns. They got a 30% damage buff at last season. And just now, because there's more slug shotguns available, you can, in kinetic and in the energy slot, you can now kill basically anything with just slug shotguns, because you can just swap them super fast. And that's just another example of an archetype of gun that needed some love, but it did not need all of it. Like, it's over the focal point of balance, because you end up doing so much. Because do you remember the Glad video that came out where he killed the Shattered Throne final boss and it regened its health and he still killed it before the time frame of the debuff killing him?
Yeah, and I remember when Golden Gun and 3 stacks were the best way to do it. Like, Golden Gun and 3 stacks would hit 9. It would hit max damage on that boss and kill her in one hit. But you had to do everything else before that to one-shot her, and you had to know about it, and you had to, like, do it right. So, I mean, that I didn't mind about, because that was your whole super, and you couldn't, like, use your super on one of the knights then. You had to fight through the knights, and earn the right to one-shot in the final boss phase, in my eyes. But now it's just like Lamau, first in, last out, heritage, first in, last out, heritage, first in, last out, heritage. You're just like, huh. No more fun.
It's the same thing with freaking Tanix. Of course, you get booped out of it, but you still just do the same thing. You just swap slug shotguns, which again they needed the buff, but it's like it's too much damage all the time.
And you
That's
know
like
what?
the biggest thing for me. It's just too much damage all of the time. Like I want to feel powerful, but I don't want to absolutely shit on everything that exists.
Like, MHW does a very good job of power leveling. IMO. Like,
Mhm.
power scaling. Like, as you go through, you gradually increase your weapons, and then it's like, that's this big next chunk of enemies dealt with. I won't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
I won't have to worry about upgrading my weapon for a while, but here it's just like, you get this one gun, and then it's kind of just...
It's just game over.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just the game's done. You got the best. You got the best gun in the game with the best roll, and you just like, haha.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like I understand that they removed a lot of the damage boosting perks from the game because they did that in Shadowkeep where they're saying legendary weapons were doing too much than exotics, so they nerfed the like swash, they nerfed rampage, kill clip, and all that. I remember, and that game was that iteration of the game was fine. It's not really. I didn't have really much to complain about, other than like one-eyed mask and recluse being a bit too strong still. But like that instance was not as bad as it was now because not everything was just falling over immediately.
Like, I'm 90% sure we could be running strikes right now and just melting through bosses with Lament to make our point. But I'm 90% sure that, like, no
It's
one,
not content.
like,
That is
it's
not
content, and it's not, like, new. Everybody knows it. It's, like... It's
You know what
just
the other
everybody
part
knows
is
how
about running straight?
absolutely insane it is, and nothing's being done.
The other part about running straights is that if you kill the boss too fast, the game bugs out and will not complete the strike for you. That is prime example of we have too much damage on our hands.
Yeah.
Remember when we tried to run the high celebrant quest to get our
Yeah.
pinnacle
Yep.
and finish
Yep.
Warden?
Yep.
It kept bugging
6
out.
times?
We did it 7 times and it kept bugging out because we did too much damage. And that's not our fault that we're doing too much damage. We play the game, we know how to do the max DPS, and then the game bugs out because it's too much because Bungie's just expecting not every person, maybe it's different on console, but every person on PC, shouldn't say every person. 9 out of 10 people on PC know what they're doing. They know how to DPS a boss.
Yeah.
Because they're just using the tools that the game gives you.
Yeah. It's not even like we're using this, like, minor, like, stat boost to get a shit ton of extra damage. It's literally Lucent Blade, taking charge, Laminate.
Mm-hmm.
And everything falls over.
You know what the worst part is? Taking charge, even though it's not, it's probably the one of the more balanced perks in the game because it doesn't absolutely crack your damage out of the freaking realm of existence, dude. It's like, yeah, you get an A.
Charge. I think taking charge is absolutely cracked out of its mind.
No, it's broken. It's absolutely broken.
I think it should be picking up an orb of light has a chance. And it's like a 50-50 to get you charged with light. Like, I think every time you pick up an orb is way too much.
Like, it's really strong, but it's the other thing is like you're not killing a boss with reactive pulse. And that's where the problem is. It's like, yeah, you're not killing a boss with a reactive pulse, but that can't get balanced in a way because Lucent Blade and other dumbass shit in this game just skyrockets your damage into infinity.
Yeah.
Like Berserk. You can't even use Berserk now to like actually do more damage because you just do more damage with weapons.
Yeah. And
like, there's
I have tried so hard to get Berserk to work. I have been trying since the beginning of the season to find that magical subclass that Berserk is going to be absolutely cracked out of its mind on? And the answer is none. And the reason is because the way Berserk inherently works is completely juxtaposed by the entire rest of the season meta. You are not running around getting a bunch of kills with your super to then wind up and deal a burst of DPS like it used to be. It is, you are sustaining your incredibly high DPS all the time.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
It just, there's no excuses anymore. There's nothing else the team can do except look very closely and intently at what needs to be balanced and balance it. And
Which they're not doing. They're just straight up just lying to us.
Yeah.
At this point, they're just lying.
Yeah.
Because they keep saying that, hey, we're gonna balance stuff, and nothing ever gets fixed, or like one thing gets
nothing ever gets fixed in a responsible manner in a responsible amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at Siege, like if Siege, like okay, Malaysia had a Type 95 or Type 5 shock SMG at some point.
Yep.
When she first came out. And I was like, alright, that's totally busted. A 3-speed operator with the Type 5 and a slowing device, and with nitros, and with impact charges, and with the best pistol in the game. That's literally the best operator in the game. She was absolutely the best operator in the game. And then they gave her the MP5 and gave Oryx the Type 5. Balanced. Completely fine. Because Oryx completely gets, like, Oryx didn't need the MP5, he needed the Type 5. Because the Type 5 is so much faster and so much stronger, and it fits with Oryx's,
with
kit.
His whole spiel, yeah.
Malusi fits better with the MP5, but they tried it, and they were like, let's see if this works the way we want it to. They recognized that it didn't, and that Malusi was way too strong, and they made a conscious pick based on 2 archetypes of defenders. There's nothing like that going on in this game. There's no form of, let's actually look at how we want to balance this game.
You know what would fix that? If we had a fucking test server.
Or,
Man.
a direct line of communication with the devs sometimes. Or, a better help forum. The help forum is literally, it is terrible. Have you ever been on the help forum, like, looking for an answer to a question? It's terrible. It's like MySpace. Like, there's just so much wrong, and I feel like they're focusing in the wrong areas.
No, they are. They're just focusing on dumping out cheap microwave content that's fun for like 2 weeks, if that.
I got that Chef Mike content.
Instead of just like sitting. One of the great things about D1 was like you had to sit with like quote unquote a season for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then you would get another update for 6 months, and then a big expansion came out.
See, this, like the seasons weren't really like seasons in D1. They were like phases of a DLC. Like, I remember Rise of Iron, where it was like, this time period is going to be focused on this, and then this, and then this. And it's like, it evolved throughout the season. This, it's like, here's Beyond Light season. And then here, you have to buy each of the chapters that each have 3 words, and you're trying to figure out the entire chapter. It's just, the entire system's so broken fundamentally. Like, if we paid for Beyond Light, which we did, we shouldn't then have another system that is seasonal. Like, it should just be Beyond Light, and then there are 3 seasons in it, and you don't have to pay for the season pass. Like, it's just ridiculous. Why can't it be, like, chapters? Why does it have to be seasons and season pass? Like, I honestly think that I don't know if I'm gonna buy the season pass next season in, like, 2 days. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. Because
I already have it because I got the freaking deluxe. I think we both already have it because we bought the deluxe thingy.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so we don't have to worry.
And the emote and all that, right? We'll see. We'll see in a couple days if literally paying like $20 more got us more than just cosmetic shit.
It's just like if they just took the entire spring season, to fix the game for summer where when everybody's already home and they don't have to deal with school, this game could like astronomically skyrocket into the next ozone where it's compared up there with the overwatches and the sieges, but it's not. It's just stuck in this niche game that you have to just deal with everything being broken.
Like,
And that
see, I hate to make this comparison, but
mm,
the more and more I play WoW, the more and more I see issues in Destiny. Because Destiny is trying to move into that model of MMORPG.
yeah, which I'm fine with.
Which
That's what I've always wanted.
I love it. I love MMORPGs. I'll sit here and play WoW until 4 a.m. just grinding dungeons and questing. And I'm totally fine with that because that's what I enjoy to do and that's what drew me to this game. But the difference between WoW and this game is there's so much loot and so many different paths to get to your end goal. Here it is the exact same end goal for everyone, sheltered under, or same path for everyone, sheltered under a thin blanket of lies. In my honest opinion, like, yes, the pinnacle weapon grind this season was a little bit better, but the pinnacle.
Why are we pinnacle grinding? Like, what? Why can't we just play the game and just get stronger without having to hit a soft cap, a hard cap, and then a pinnacle cap? That just seems counterproductive to me.
Like, and I don't see why, like,
Why they changed it in the first place?
well, and see, the thing is, it's like, I like the change. I do. Because it helps me prioritize what I should get done first when we get a power bump, right? So it helps me prioritize going for, like, the shitty ones first, getting those out of the way, and then going for the big boys. Like, it helps me prioritize. But at the same time, at the end of the season and all of this, it all boils down to the same rotations of how you get pinnacle gear. And there's not enough, and I wish that they would take out the powerful rewards and just supplement them or take them out as you got stronger, so you weren't thinking that that's something that's going to give you a reward. Like, if you're leveling, right, and this is your first time playing Destiny and you're having a hard time understanding soft cap, hard cap, pinnacle, which on its own is hard enough, you get to 1250 and then you still see these powerful gear tier 2, powerful gear tier 3, powerful gear tier 1, all this. You see all these rewards, but they're all capped at 1250, and all
1250
you see
or 1200.
Yeah.
By the way, because tier 3 drops at soft cap because why?
Reasons. But it's just, and then you see these pinnacles and you do a pinnacle reward, which you've done every week, and then all of a sudden it drops at 1251. And you're like, oh shit, so I only have to do these. And then your gameplay boils down to just playing those things. Like, that's it. That's all you play in the game. You get 100k on Nightfall. You play 4, like, Rumble matches that you can AFK. And you do 3 strikes. Yes, you can do a raid. And yes, you can do Gambit. But that's, like, my weekly rotation of what I do when I'm pinnacle grinding. And it's so sad because it's so boring. Being rewarded for being at in-game is so much different in WoW than it is in D2. D2, it's... in-game in D2 is you do the same ritualistic activities for the entire season. In-game in WoW is you can now go into PvP. You can now do raids that are incredibly hard 40-person activities. And yes, Destiny 2 raids are never going to be 40-person activities. But the raids still need to have the same bravado and the same prowess to make you feel like you need to be that strong to be there.
And the other thing about the raids is like they lower your power level so it's still everything still feels powerful. Don't do that. Just power everything back up. Like there's mechanical changes that came in from Shadowkeep that did not exist in Forsaken. So why aren't the new mechanics being implemented into Last Wish? So it gets updated so it's modern.
Yeah. Reasons. The team's spread too thin. We're focusing on other projects. Stop focusing on other projects and fix the project you have now. Like, that's what it boils down to, is stop making new weapons. Stop making new things. Just perfect what you have and then build on it. It's so challenging to come into this week in and week out with dead resets and just like nothing changing in the world. And I wouldn't I don't think I would have a problem with waiting longer for stuff.
I don't recommend this game to anyone. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like if
I stopped.
I know that they just want something to mindlessly grind on. I've only recommended this game to one person, and the only reason I recommended it to him is because he asked why I kept playing it so much. It's the only reason, and then he played it for a week, and then he was done.
Yeah.
Like, if a game is supposed to be alive and thriving and always moving forward, why is it that there's weeks where there's nothing happening in the game?
Yeah, and it's not just
I can understand
nothing happening. It's no development, no change. It is stagnant for weeks on end.
I can understand 1 week in every 1 week compared to 3 other weeks where something happened.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can take a week off if nothing happened, but if you're sitting there for I honestly think this season has been nothing but dead resets. In my opinion, Season of the Hunt, I was super excited because I was like, oh, this is gonna be a cool, smaller, faster version of Menagerie. Nope. Literally walk in, kill a bunch of Thrall, kill one knight, shoot Zevo Wrath in the mouth, and you're done.
I can tell you because I remember I pinned the schedule in our Discord. So let's see, we got launch week, which was 1 week that something happened. Season of Hunt that launched where something happened, and then week 3 was when the raid launched, which something happened.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened until December 8th.
Didn't the season start in October, DJ?
It didn't start in October. It started November 10th.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was November or October 10th.
However, we didn't get anything for 2 weeks until Iron Banner came out.
Yeah. And then Iron Banner isn't even, we weren't even excited about Iron Banner at that point.
Why weren't we excited about Iron Banner? Because fucking it's 6v6 in stasis.
6v6 is
in this game.
Utter shit show. Is an utter shit show. And I think that comes down to poor map designs, and I think that if they had a better map design team and outsourced map design for multiplayer maps to, I don't know, maybe a COD team or ex-COD people,
Infinity War, fucking,
or even better, the DICE team. Because can you imagine some of the fucking cool DICE maps that we would have? Can you imagine a map? You can do it. It's been done. You can have big maps in video games because they've been having them since the 360, so that's not an excuse.
Oh, or
Imagine
they can call the Battlefield team to make a big map.
That's what I'm saying. A huge map on a huge map with 10 people on each team, right? And you can use your spares and shit, and it's domination. But it is a big ass map. It is can you imagine a balanced version of the first area from Scourge as a PvP map? How fucking cool would that be?
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be sick. That much room to run around. That's the ideal. That's what I think of when I think of Destiny maps. I don't think of Jav or Cauldron. I think of big grandiose maps because that's what I think Destiny needs is big grandiose maps.
Because that's what it used to be. It used to be I don't mind the small maps, but
But they have their place.
they're only good for 3v3 game mode, and there's only so much 3v3 that you can play. I love 3v3. It's
I do
great.
too. I do too.
There's only
3v3
so much
is
of
my
it that you can play.
Exactly. And
Because
I played all of it when I went for my Recluse solo. I got my Recluse solo queuing, which back during when it came out was a shit show. Like, it was atrocious how bad solo queuing was back when Opulence and Season of Drifter came out, because like carries were such a big problem and account recovs were such a big problem, and like 7 out of 10 people that you would go up against were account recovs or were getting carried by somebody, and like it just was such a hard climb, and it turned me off so much to PvP in this game because it showed me how fundamentally broken the entire PvP is in this game. And it's just like, you look at, again, other ability driven first person shooters like Valorant. We started playing Valorant again, and I played Trailblazer, I think her name is, the Aussie chick that has like the wolf that can go in, like 3 flashes that regenerator you can buy, and then the seekers, and then the heal that you can't heal yourself with. And I am still like, those abilities are so good, and the way you use them are so good. Like, and ability management with that character is so important. But this, it's just, why shoot gun when melee do trick? Like, it's literally like, and if my gun doesn't work, let me pull out my Felwinters. Or if my ability doesn't work, let me pull out my Felwinters. Like, there's just so much wrong with the PvP in my eyes. And it melded, they're trying to make it from something that's fun while you play in your downtime to a main part of the game. And I don't have a problem if they make it a main part of the game. They just have to do it right. And they're not doing it right.
Yeah, it's like, man, I have my own things about Felwinters, like how it should be an exotic and other stuff, but if I run up against a Felwinters, I'm never bad. Like, I'll be like, oh, I got killed by Felwinters, and then like I'll just pull out my Felwinters. That's fine. It's just, hey man, guess what? You know what else goes with Felwinters? Jumping 30 feet in the air, double shuriken, or Brack is slow, so you can't move. / your accuracy goes down for some reason, and then you get shuriken and frozen, and you just explode.
Yep.
And we're just like, okay, I guess that's fine. I guess that's fine.
You can't.
You can't. One thing I'll say before you continue.
Bring abilities in that prioritize spacing when there is no room on the map for spacing.
You can't just be like, hey, Lord of Wolves is too strong, so we're just gonna allow you to just do release the wolves whenever you want, and then leave it like that. Hold on, let me see. That got changed in Season of the Drifter, halfway through. And then there was Season of Opulence, Shadowkeep Season of the Dawn. And it only got changed in Season of the Worthy. So 4 seasons. Technically 4.5. So that's about at least 9 months that Lord of Wolves was the best shotgun in the game.
And then, don't forget, with Season of the Almighty, Felwinters came out. So
yes.
They nerfed Felwinters to bring in... Or they nerfed Lord of Wolves to bring in Felwinters, IMO.
Yes. But that's just 9 months of people saying Lord of Wolves is too strong. Why did you change it? Which it was. It was just fine, by the way. There was I have no problem with that shotgun. It was totally fine. I only really used it in Gambit because there was taken captains.
And Serochi. Don't forget about Serochi.
Serochi as well, but they're just like, well, we can't balance things. What is balance? What is a balance?
I don't get it anymore. I honestly just don't get it anymore. And I've tried for so long to like keep up with the game and really try to keep up and keep going strong with the game. But when it seems like it is just
You don't have to
pushing
tell me.
over and over.
There was an
and over
extended season last season, and I got up to like rank 600 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm at two. I'm still almost at 300 this season, but I'm just like, I feel like next season is just gonna be 100 and done.
Yep.
If that. It's just they just don't listen. It's just
They just don't listen and they just don't care. IMO.
and that's really heartbreaking because this is the one game that I would say where the developers actually listen the most, and that's just not true anymore.
Yeah.
Or it was just a facade before, and they really just they're really just doing whatever
they
now.
won best community involvement at the Game Awards last year. Like, not these last Game Awards or the video, whatever the last award show we watched that wasn't The Last of Us sucking off everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The one before that, they won best community-driven game. Like, they've won awards for how they've listened to their community, and now it's just... I get COVID. I get it. But that...
Mm-hmm.
We're
That's
at a
not-
point
it's
now.
still
We're
not-
at a point now where that can't be an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we are at a point. It has almost been a year since COVID lockdowns started.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta stop with allowing game companies to say, COVID-related problems has caused us to drop our quality. Because, like, at a certain point, you've got to go, well, if the company really cared, they would put all their effort into bringing forth, like, oh shit, let me take this.
Bringing forth people, hiring more people,
Well, not
outsourcing
even that. Like,
people.
like, not even outsourcing. Like, not even outsourcing. Just listening and getting the people that are already there the equipment that they need to perform at the level they were. Like, you know what I mean? Like Siege
Like, I
hasn't
get
slowed
it.
down. Siege hasn't slowed down.
Not at all.
Like, I mean,
Not
yes,
at
they've
all.
gone down to one operator, but I'd much rather them go down to one operator and say, yes, we have COVID restrictions, but we're doing the best with what we can, and we're still pumping out quality content. We just don't want to stretch ourselves thin and pump out 2 operators that are going to be garbage. If we can put all our time into one that's going to be really cool. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with them saying, hey, we're going to take a step back and make one long season, but we're going to have changing events, so it's going to be like multiple seasons. It's just going to be under the umbrella of one season.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You can't just be like, hey, double Valor, double Nightfall rewards, and double Infamy is enough, because 2 out of 3 players in this server don't play PvP or Gambit.
Yeah, because Gambit's boring. Like, it just is. It's...
Mm.
And then Crucible's busted. Like, there's no in between anymore. It's just strikes or nothing. IMO, it's strikes or nothing. Because there's so many weapons that deal so much damage now, and Gambit's just Lamau now.
Yep. Hey man, the enemy team got to DPS phase before you did? Guess what? The boss is dead because Lambda exists.
Unless it's Meatball, and then everybody
Unless it's
puts
Meatball. Yep.
Because before I stopped for the last 2 weeks, like, playing, I played a game of Gambit, and we got Meatball, and every one of my teams switched to Cloud Strike except me, because they were queued. And the boss, like, turned into spaghetti. Like, he went from Meatball into just pure spaghetti in about 3 seconds. And I was like, yeah, this is totally fine. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Because the meatball is just a big giant crit. When you think about it, and all Cloud Strike needs is a big crit, and you win.
Yep. It's just not fun.
And watch them do something stupid like nerf Divinity. like watch them say like, we've noticed that too many weapons are doing better than intended throughout many PvE activities. We've noticed that Divinity is causing most of these problems, so for now we have disabled Divinity from the game. Like, and I'm just gonna be like, huh.
Man, we just don't care, huh?
Yeah. Take out the only gun that is probably the most balanced.
Yeah, I'm just like, cause you can't appreciate Dawn Chorus, cause it's just like, well, why would you use that? Because everything else is just better.
Yeah.
Can't, like, out of the 3 new exotic helmets that came out, Brackus is just above and beyond literally everything else.
Yeah.
Because Dawn Chorus only works on 2 out of the 3 solar subclasses. Like, the true potential only is on 2 of 3. Versus Brackus, you know, just chuck on stasis and then... Because remember, it's not just base stasis anymore. They also said that they're going to be expanding upon stasis.
Yeah.
One of the developers said that in a Polygon interview. Or in an interview with Polygon.
Wait to get more fragments, dude. It's gonna be great. I can't wait for Hunter's Shurikens to deal more slow and, you know, immediately decapitate people. Or deal crit damage if you hit a headshot.
Yeah. Well, they already do crit damage on a headshot. It does 90 damage.
Anybody in the field able to give it
Very
a
stupid.
And it can lock onto your head if you aim it at the right level.
Yep. And it's just, watch that crit damage just like get increased out the ass though.
Yep, because I think you have about like, you have 150 HP. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's
200. It's like it's 200. It might be 200.
Is it 200?
Like one. It's one of the two. It's like in between 150 and 200. But it's like, if it's 150, that means the Shuriken does over half of your health bar.
Yeah.
Which, why does one ability, like, melee abilities already do 100 damage, and it takes 2 to kill. So, why?
Then it's 200 damage. Then we have 200
Yeah.
HP.
Yeah. So we're just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, there's already stuff that doesn't work. Like, sometimes, like, Warlock is canonically the worst melee in the game because it just doesn't lock on or hit. But everyone else's can just lock on and just launch them across the screen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we're just like, okay, I guess this is fine. You want to work on hit reg? Or my favorite, when you just spray something down and then you're around the corner and you still die.
Oh yeah.
Because that's how targeting works apparently in the game. As long as you sprayed them down enough, it will still hit them around the corner and kill them.
Yeah. And then there's the old faithful ricochet rounds that'll just, you know, bounce around the corner and then magnetize to the person, because bullet magnetism is a thing in this game. Which is incredibly stupid, and if you've never seen bullet magnetism in a video, you should look it up, because it's stupid. I mean, it's great in some instances, but I just think, like,
in any
magnetism
competitive
in a whole
standpoint, like,
it just makes it worse. 'Cause-
when I play games, for me personally, if I'm playing a game in a like any kind of like shooters are probably like the game that I play competitively. Like any shooter that I want to play, I think of it in a competitive aspect, which is why I like Valorant and which is why I like Siege, because those are two very competitive games.
Yeah, and
for
reward
what
you
it's
for being very competitive.
yes, reward you for being competitive and actually like learning recoil, learning freaking how to manage your abilities,
Learning,
and like
yeah.
where to set stuff up at. It's rewarding. But in this, if after playing this game for so long you lose and you go back to one of those games, you just can't, because this game doesn't teach you any of that. Just run around and just chase people, because not really much that they
You're
can do to
frozen
stop.
in place. Well, now.
We're just like, wow, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, it's totally fine to just completely ignore, like,
Match game, like a
Match
mod
game.
that specifically makes it so that you do less damage. It is completely fine to just ignore that. It doesn't matter if it's a heavy weapon or a special weapon. It's not fine to just ignore that.
yeah,
Like even Bastion might ignore it, but it's not broken.
yeah.
Bastion is a PvP fusion rifle.
Honestly. And I mean, like,
So-
Arbalest ignores it, but who the hell uses Arbalest?
In PvP, because it's broken.
When it's not bugged.
Because it's
Or when
currently
you're not
bugged.
trying to get the Komodo FR4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only time I used Arbalest in PvP. I was trying to get the Komodo FR4.
Yep. Because ritual weapons, they're
Or
trying to
coming
balance.
back, too.
Like a Doord's fine. Like it's good. It's fine, but like they keep trying to make these ritual weapons. They're not recluse. Or like freaking, not even Ritrix didn't get good until the high impact pulse rifle change.
Yeah.
And that came out in 2018, and that change didn't come out till last season.
Yeah.
So it was 2 years of being the worst pulse rifle in the game.
Yeah. And now they're just like, hey, Lamau, we want everything to be busted as shit again.
Like, you can't have everything be strong, because then it just makes it not fun.
Exactly.
Because it's just an arms race of who's gonna play more broken shit every time you boot up any competitive version of this game.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, they're using Hawkmoon or Arbalest. I guess I'll just put on my one-eyed mask, which got nerfed. Thank you, but like, just gonna chuck on my one-eyed mask and other stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Or I'm just gonna chuck on my revoker, because light zoom or low zooms don't have any. Well, they have flinch now, but they didn't have flinch before.
Yep.
And you can still get out sniped even if you got the first shot off, which they did say that they were going to quote unquote change that, but take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Honestly.
Because how much you want to bet? Unflinching sniper rifle aim just offsets the nerf.
Pretty much. That's how it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna be. Like, it's gonna be it. I can see the Jez video on it now with his mouth like fucking wide open. Bungie didn't nerf sniper rifles? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
I love Armor 2.0, but like it scavs
It's annoying
and
sometimes.
yes, there are certain things about it that is just like, sure, keep all the stuff in the game, but like disable some of it during certain activities, honestly.
Yeah.
Like if it's just a strike, sure, keep all the scavs you want on. But if you're doing a raid or something, turn it off. There's a reason why they disabled and they got rid of armaments. Because it was broken.
Yeah, and now that enhanced scav and regular scav are one mod now, it's just insane. Like, it's just like enhanced plus. Like, they didn't, like, I honestly think they got the numbers wrong. Like, with how they combined it, I honestly think they made it both the numbers combined instead of an in between the numbers. Like, so instead of between 0 or instead of being 0.75 between half and a whole, they made it 1.5. because sometimes I just be running around like the shotgun scavenger on, and all of a sudden there's 30 bricks of special in an area.
Yep, and then each brick gives you 20 ammo back, because that's how it works. Ammo finder and scavs work independently of each other.
I just wish scav was an umbrella term that included everything, like finding and picking up, so then it wouldn't be stacking on top of each other.
Yep. Because that's how you do top-end activities. Just run double scav and finder, and then you just run around.
And then you have one of
whatever you want.
and then you guys can all run swift charge, so everybody is generating special for everybody.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
Totally
fine. Famine, never heard of her.
That mod doesn't exist. Do you have anything else? Because I'm just like, dude.
I really don't. I'm just working on this Hawkmoon catalyst while we're talking. I'm just running around like trying to delete shit as quickly as I can, because I want to see this thing get busted.
Can't forget, every stack of buff that you have gives it range as well.
Which is insane and not okay, but here we are. You know, there is something else I want to talk about. How Hawkmoon was literally entirely new and different until they gave it a catalyst, and then it's just D1 Hawkmoon. When you think about it, it may not be randomly critting, but trust me, if you can line up multiple crits in a row, it's gonna hit like it's randomly critting. Like, it's just skill in the chamber, but now it's like, hey, we're gonna make it feel as strong as Hawkmoon was. And
also, you can't forget skill in the chamber +1. So just in case you missed that one shot, you can still get all of your shots off.
Does it stack any higher with the +1? Like, does it go up one higher?
It does not. I tested it. It does not go up to 8. It goes up to 7.
So it's just literally guaranteed mulligan.
Yep. Just in case you miss one, you can still pop off with your overloaded Hawkmoon shot.
Yep.
That has increased range. Because you know what's worse? Even if it doesn't stack it an extra stack, is if you get 7 stacked and have 2 bullets left, you get the full benefit of the max range buff from the Hawkmoon catalyst on a regular bullet into a super crit.
Yep. But you know, Hawkmoon's not the same. Yeah, because it's fucking better. Like, it's just better and busted. That's all Hawkmoon is. And there's just so many people couldn't get over the fact that it didn't random crit anymore and were immediately turned off by it. And I was like, ha.
Oh, you mean the first gun in all of this game's entire history that can have random rolls?
First exotic?
Because first exotic. Because in the lore, it's overcharged with the power of the light, so it can just randomly do stupid shit. That's
Hawkman's literally just on drugs, and it's the one exotic like family member that we don't want to talk about. It just shows up at like Thanksgiving and is just like coked out of their mind. It's just like, I have enlightened so much. I can do whatever I want now. And then just like fucking jumps up on the sofa and is like, quick draw.
Yep. It's just,
that's Hawkmoon now. That's Hawkmoon.
You just get to do whatever you want, on top of the fact that it's a hand cannon. So it already got buffed again, because at the start of the season they extended the hand cannon range of all hand cannons
for no reason whatsoever.
So it's a 140 that hits with the range of a freaking 120.
Yep.
And then
another public event.
And then once you kill that guy with your 120 shot, you just get to have a pocket sniper rifle as your last shot.
Yep. That was your last 2. With the
as your last 2. Because doing 64k and some change on a walker, and then doing 112k against a walker, after doing after doing 8 shots of 6K is totally fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Who am I? I'm just a loser who decided to play this video game.
We're just losers who decided to spend a lot of time learning and committing time to this video game, learning the intricacies that they literally just said, haha, Lamau, sorry, about.
Mm-hmm. We didn't really want a game with def. It's had def for years. It's had def too long. Just do whatever you want now.
Just imagine. This is just because the game devs just needed a break from COVID, so they just broke the fucking game so they had something fun to, like, come back to. And then they've secretly been working on the real Destiny 2 a while. Just imagine.
Man, that'd be a great prank. That would be... That prank would go down in history.
As the best prank since No Man's Sky winning. Best like, ongoing
Best
community.
ongoing community. I just don't get it. It's been 2 hours.
It has been, and there's still just so much, and like little problems that I just keep remembering, like Tether gets booped away by taking Blight. Like Tether, like Hunter Tether doesn't have priority over Blight spawns. So if you tether like in Surochi's starting room before the Blights go off, your tether will get launched to the ceiling and completely wasted. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, still, and then like moving platforms you can't place anything down on because they're not solid. There's so many issues, and it's just all coming out now because everybody's mad about balance.
Yeah, at a certain point, you can't just be like, ha, that's funny. It's just quirky. At a certain point, it's just like, yo, this is broken, and it hasn't been fixed.
Yeah.
Like the Lumina Catalyst, by the way.
Yeah.
Which they have not mentioned since they have not mentioned all season. We don't know how long it was broken.
Oh.
We don't know how long.
The first time it was mentioned was when it came out, like the week after it came out. The Catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
It's the week after it came out, and then it became a known issue, I think, right before Beyond Light happened. So when it was still an old D2 game state, not Beyond Light D2 game state, and it's still gone into Beyond Light bugged.
And what I'm fearing is it's something with the old game that's still in the files somewhere that they can't access because they deleted it off the game and are just gonna have to casually go, aha, here's this back in the game. Also, the Lumina Catalyst is now fixed. Like, they're gonna say, like, this random boss is back or something, or somebody's gonna notice it, and that's gonna be the fix because they accidentally deleted the bugged part from the game before glitching out the Lumina, but it's gonna be something stupid like that, watch. Yep. Honestly. But, I mean, and then it's just like, 3-peaking is such a problem, and they're just now getting to it, and they're not even promising any changes.
Yep. Which I have a solution, just zoom in the camera into their character instead of just fucking...
Yeah, dude, like, first person, like, swords would look sick as shit. Like Genji's fucking ultimate, dude, like, that's sick as shit. No, ma'am. Khaleesi's freaking out.
Bro, she heard about the first person Genji sword. She's like, oh god.
First person laminate.
Oh god. But still, like, even that's like an easy fix. That's like a band-aid, but that's still a fix they can do.
Lower people's FOV to 90 when they go into third person. Yep. Like, overwrite it. Because the problem is, Khaleesi, come here. I know, baby, come here. I know. the main problem is that people, including me, have juiced their FOVs all the way up because I like to see more of the game. But I honestly don't need the big FOV when I'm using a sword. Like, I just feel like it is purely too much, and I am incentivized to actually use it more as 3P than using it.
And actually using it.
Yeah, than like actually using it, because the FOV is just so big. Like, I'll sit behind crates with like Lamnin out and Grandmaster Nightfalls to see if a champion's around the corner. Like, like, and I wouldn't do that, and I feel like it would add to difficulty of the game if third-person like models were zoomed in a lot more on FOV. And it's simply because a wider FOV inclines a player to use it for intel. Like when you think about it, like, I like putting my Valve cameras in areas where there's almost 360 degrees of visibility, because no matter what, it can't be a bad Valve cam. Like, and same with
unless it's in a dead zone, but other than that, you're basically fine.
I mean, still, even then, like, as long as you don't chuck it across the map, like, being able to see 3 different hallways where you know people aren't, even if it's relatively close to the site, is really good intel still. And, I don't know, it's just, you always want to be able to see as much as you can before you make any judgment, and having, you know, 3,000 FOV when you pull out a sword, like, is just not fair, because you can see people before they even see you chilling behind a wall.
And they have no idea that you have the sword out, by the way.
Yeah. They have no idea.
So as soon as they feel like, oh yeah, I can push this, you just peek out with your sniper rifle and just dome them.
Yep.
But who are we? We're just two guys.
You know, almost 4,000 hours of experience between the two of us alone, and we have no idea what we're talking about.
Yep.
No idea.
Just no idea at all. Man, that was
That was a lot.
that was. I just want the game to get better. That's gonna be the last statement I make.
Yeah, same. I genuinely just want these changes for the betterment of the game, because I honestly do miss the game a little bit. Like, I'm sitting here playing and I'm like missing grinding, but I know there's no point in me grinding right now, so I'm just gonna go like grind WoW or Monster Hunter or Siege, because those are way more fun. But I mean, it's just, I want the game to get better because I want to be able to recommend this game to people, and I want to be able to say, yeah, this game's fucking great, I have no problems with it, instead of, oh, it's gonna be good once you get to a certain point.
Yeah, that's not a video game. That's that's like, oh yeah, the movie starts getting better after this part. And it just never gets better.
Yeah.
And then you just gotta sit there with the awkwardness that you lied to your friend.
Yeah. It's like going and seeing fucking Avengers Endgame, except you had to go throw up in the middle of it. Or that. Or it is Cat's theme school. Or it's Pacific Rim, or Battleship. any movie other than Endgame.
Yep. So
I just want changes, because the game is so much better than it is now, and it honestly just should get balanced, and that's pretty much it. Because up until now, there's been very rare, if any, balance, and then now it's just
you know what it is?
Sporadic and
random balance. Well, it's not random anymore. They're prepping for cross-gen, which
is the biggest mistake this game could make. IMO. This game going into crossplay is going to be the biggest mistake. I swear. I don't mind cross-save. Cross-save is genius. Crossplay is the exact opposite. I feel like it's...
I wouldn't even mind crossplay, but just they shouldn't prioritize one one system over the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like just put in the functionality that if you want to play a mouse and keyboard on console, you can do that.
Yeah. Honestly.
Especially if you're gonna get a newer console, which is more optimized, so you can actually turn up your settings and experience the game.
Yeah. But it's just, I just want it to change for the better, and I'm tired of bullshit coming on the THIEVES. I'm tired of RGB titles in place of actual content.
Laminated titles, by the way.
Yep.
Laminated. Oh, because remember, I kept count. It was 3 weeks of changes with TWABs with no balance changes on them.
Yep.
3 whole weeks, and the season was right around the corner, basically.
Yup. No changes of balance going into the new season, which is what has
And
me
even-
most disgusted.
And
This is just
even
no
this
preparation for turning the page. Nothing.
Even this week, there's no balance changes that I wanted to see. Yeah, swords got nerfed, but it's just 2. It is 2 swords. It is 2 swords. And hey, we're homogenizing the game so that console players can be on the same edge as PC players when one is statistically just better because you have more options and more space, and you're not limited to the gamepad. There's more customization.
Auto aim.
Yeah, that's also a thing. And there's auto aim.
On console, but you know.
Mhm.
We don't have recoil! Well, plug in a fucking mouse and keyboard. Honestly.
Or they can just add recoil to all of the guns. Man.
No, there is recoil for guns on PC.
There is.
It's just instinctively PC players automatically adjust recoil.
Mhm.
Like automatically. Like it's just a thing that you do. When you play PC for a long time, and you just automatically adjust for the recoil. And so many people are like, oh, all my favorite YouTubers and stuff don't seem to be fighting the recoil, and I'm like, that's because nobody uses hand cams, because that shit's cringe. But I 100% would let you know that they're probably automatically adjusting for the recoil, because it's just passive once you play enough.
Mm-hmm.
But on console, there's no way to physically control recoil, period. It's just kind of impossible. Anyway, I just want it to change, because I don't want to stop playing this game, but the game's slowly making it harder and harder for me to play it.
Yep.
Because it's so unfun and so unbalanced, and
Yep.
there's only a few changes that would take, in all honesty.
Yeah. Because once they get the basic balance of the game down, now it's just fixing the content
Yeah.
and like actually making it relevant.
Yeah. And making it compete with other games that are out there that are having seasonal content, like Siege. Like Siege this season, like Road to 6 Invitationals is my favorite time in Siege, because you get the whole new map, you get a great battle pass with like
You also get animations every week.
Yeah. You get animations for custom loading into the map, and you get a new victory emote. Like, every time Siege has an event, it is phenomenal. There's a new map. There's, like, a whole different map. There's different, like, character models. Like, they had, like, a Muppet one where they turned everybody into different Muppets.
Yep,
And-
I remember that. That was terrifying and
it made me
hilarious at the same time.
terrifying, but that took so much time to like make Muppet models for all these characters just for a meme. Like the whole thing spawned off of one of the characters' voice lines, and
Yep.
they went ahead and made like a whole event for it. And Destiny has to be able to compete with that. And there's been a few instances where they have, aka the Almighty crashing, and that's about it. But like Destiny just has to learn to compete with the games that are out there, because
Hey, so you mean modernize? Man, that'd be crazy if they actually modernize for once.
honestly, but it's just
Like we're not in 2008 anymore. Like this is not just gonna cut it.
yeah. I mean, this would have been great for like a Halo-esque game, and that's kind of what it is. But we need to evolve. We have watched so much
Halo
Kitchen
evolve?
Nightmares the last couple days that we've discovered if you keep the same things for super long, people stop buying your pasta. So, I mean, we're gonna stop buying Destiny's pasta pretty soon. They don't start cleaning their restaurant. That's what it's coming down to.
Yep. Yep. I'm sick and tired of cold, undercooked chicken. Of new items on the menu that you don't know how to cook, so you just wing it.
I am so tired of people crying all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. That was all my gripes with the video game.
I'm sure I have more, but it's been 2 hours.
Yeah,
Plus.
it's been 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is
I'm just like,
insane.
I'm done if you're done.
I'm done. I'm done. This has been the Don Juan Carlos and your boy Gaming Monk talking about changes that we would like to see in Destiny to not only make it a better game, but a more widespread game that more people can enjoy, because right now it's a dilapidated mess that needs the Property Brothers to, uplift and give it a face tuck and all that to make the house better, because right now the house is in shambles. The house is in shambles. CMG, please fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Please fix it.
The house is in shambles, DMG.